Hello and welcome. In this video, we're going to talk about how to integrate the sine inverse of x. You can also call it arcsine of x. Okay. Now, the best way to integrate this problem is by using integration by parts. Now, what's the formula for integration by parts? We have that to be the integral of u dv equals to uv minus the integral of v du. Okay, so for integration by parts, we usually have two functions multiplying each other. So one of the functions will be u, the other will be dv. For instance, if we have the integral of x sine x, okay, we have this function x multiplying this function sine x, and so we select one of these functions to be u and the other function to be dv. Now coming back here, we have the function sine inverse of x. Okay, so we need another function that will either be u or dv. So we can say that sine inverse of x is the same as sine inverse of x multiplied by 1. Okay, so we can choose 1 dx to be our second function. So we have sine inverse of x, we have 1 dx. Now, how do we decide which function to choose as u and which function to choose as dv? We can make use of our LAET method. So in the previous video, I talked about the LAET method and we solved some problems. So I'm just going to give you a brief explanation on LAET. So L stands for logarithmic functions, I stands for inverse trigonometric functions, A stands for algebraic functions, and T stands for trigonometric functions, and then E stands for exponential functions. So the LAET method tells us the order of priority for picking u. Okay, so when you want to pick your u, it follows this order. You check for your logarithmic. Do we have any logarithmic function here? We don't have any logarithmic function here. The next one is inverse trig. Okay, so this is an inverse trigonometric function. Okay, so we're going to prioritize picking this as our u. Okay, so it goes on like that. Algebraic, if you have an algebraic, we prioritize that next, then trigonometric, we prioritize that next, and then exponential. Okay, so for this particular problem, we're going to choose u to be equal to the sine inverse of x. Okay, and then we pick dv to be equal to 1 dx, or let's just say dx. Okay, now next thing now is to integrate, differentiate u. So differentiating with respect to x, we're going to have 1 over the square root. So when you differentiate the sine inverse of x, you have 1 over the square root of 1 minus x squared. And then in order for us to obtain v, we have to integrate dv. Okay, so we have to integrate both sides. So when we integrate dv, we have v, and when we integrate dx, we have x. Okay, so we can write du to be equal to 1 over the square root of 1 minus x squared dx, right? Cross multiplying this what we have here. So now we have u, we have v, right? We have du. Okay, so what we'll now do is to substitute into the formula. So the integral of the sine inverse of x dx is going to be equal to u is sine inverse of x. So sine inverse of x multiplied by what is v? V is x. So sine inverse of x multiplied by x. So this is going to give us x sine inverse of x. So let's write that. X sine inverse of x. Okay? So that is uv. Okay? X sine inverse of x. Then minus the integral of v. What is v? V is x. Okay? Then what is du? Du is 1 divided by the square root of 1 minus x squared dx. Okay? So at this point, we need to simplify this. So what I have now is the integral of sine inverse of x dx is equal to x sine inverse of x minus the integral of x divided by the square root of 1 minus x squared dx. So we have another problem to tackle. We have to tackle this guy right here. Okay, so looking at this problem, the best thing to do is to bring out this problem. This is the problem. X divided by the square root of 1 minus x squared dx. What's the best way to integrate this guy? The best way to integrate this guy is by using substitution. Integration by substitution, or you can call it u substitution. Okay, so I'm going to pick a function, equate it to u, then substitute that function. So let's do it. So which function should I pick as u to substitute? Okay, if I pick u equals to x and I differentiate u with respect to x and I get 1, is this going to help me? Taking a look at this, no, this is not going to help me. So let me try picking 1 minus x squared. Okay, so when I differentiate u with respect to x, what do I have? I have minus 2x, right? So this should be able to help me, right? So let's see, if I cross multiply, du is going to be what? Minus 2x dx. So I have x dx, which I also have here. So this can work. So I'm now going to substitute and say this is the integral of x over the square root of u, right, dx. Okay, so I want everything to be in terms of u. So what is x dx? X dx is equal to what? Du over minus 2. So I'm coming here and substituting x dx with what? Du over minus 2. So I have the integral of du over minus 2 root u, right? So this is it. Becomes simpler, right? So let's clear this part. So after using integration by substitution, we concluded that this guy is equal to this guy, substituting u as 1 minus x squared. Okay, so we can rewrite this as the integral of 1 over 2 minus 2 u raised to the power half, right? The square root of u is the same as u raised to the power half. Okay, then with respect to u. So this becomes easy to integrate, right? Let's bring out 1 over minus 2. So we have 1 over minus 2 integral u raised to the power minus half, right? With respect to u. So what's the integral of u raised to the power minus half? That is equal to 1 over minus 2 multiplied by u raised to the power minus half plus 1. So minus half plus 1 is what? Half. So u raised to the power half divided by half. Okay, then that's what we have. So this becomes 2. So when you take this guy up, it becomes 2 over minus 2. So it becomes minus u raised to the power half, right? And this becomes, what is u? 1 minus x squared. So it becomes minus 1 minus x squared raised to the power 1 over 2. Okay, very, very simple. So we've gotten what's this integral. We've gotten this integral. And this is the integral here. So we're just going to come back here and put it back here. So we can conclude that the integral of sine inverse of x with respect to x is what? X sine inverse of x, right? Minus, then there's another minus here. So minus and minus plus 1 minus x squared to the power half. And that's our final answer. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also,